first, we're going to kind of figure out what is consent and what isn't when it comes to our dogs. So the second game I have for you, Sara, is what is consent? And it is a true-false game. Okay.
All right.
So I'm going to give you a scenario and you're going to tell me if it is truly consent or absolutely not consent. You ready to play?
I'm ready. I'm always ready for this.
Awesome. Well, this is the thing. Some of these you might have to elaborate a little bit more because like I said, this is something that I'm still wrapping my head around. I am all for consent in every relationship, in every scenario. That is how you build respect and relationships. But it's sometimes hard to understand. And we don't have any videos. Did you ever watch that consent video about the tea for humans?
Yes, yes.
That is such an effective way to teach consent for humans. But I feel like we need, maybe you need to put out a similar video for dog consent.
Yes. Okay. Yep.
So for those who are watching and didn't watch that video about consent, it was about tea. It was basically you have the great intention of offering tea to somebody. But if they say no, you don't push it. If they say maybe later, you wait. Like all the scenarios about offering somebody a cup of tea, it teaches you consent that way. So let's try to make that happen here.
Yeah, I will say that my 16-year-old, whenever he feels like we're pushing him, he'll always be like, I don't want your tea.
Okay, so perfect. Yeah. I can't believe that resonated so much that it's like something that you talk about all the time. I need to start teaching my kids this. Like I just, as I was talking to you, I was like, I need to remember to show that video to my 4.5-year-olds because it's super effective. Okay, so here we go, back to the game. So shoving a pill into a dog's mouth, then blowing in their faces so they'll swallow it is consent.
No, not at all.
How do we
not even slightly?
How do we get dogs to do something that we don't want them to do like that? Is it just training and positive reinforcement? And
so pills, it boggles my mind how people force pills in dogs' mouths. For the most part, it is so easy to give dogs medication. If you have, I keep a list of like 30 items that you can put pills in to get your dogs to eat them. And yes, if it tastes bad, you have to be careful and there's all sorts of stuff, but there's so many techniques to get dogs to take pills that do not involve you pulling open their mouth and shoving it in.
And then blowing in their nose so that they can get startled and swallow it. That was actually the tip from a veterinarian.
Of course it was.
Ages ago.
Ages ago.
Yes.
We hope.
Yes. I don't think that veterinarian's giving that advice anymore, I hope. Okay. Placing a scat mat or similar deterrent on a couch to keep my dog off of it. That's consent.
No. That's just punishment.
So even though they have the choice of going up to the couch or not, it's punishment because once they do go up on the couch, they get zapped.
Yep. And it's not giving them an alternative to be, what to do. The consent part of it would be like almost on your side consent of like if they came up and had a behavior that they did to ask to go on the couch, that would be your consent to have them come up on the couch.
Ooh, I like that. Okay, yeah. I'm a big believer in telling what you want, not what you don't want, right?
No.
Installing a doggy door so my dog can go out whenever he wants. Consent, not consent, neither?
Oh, totally. I mean, neither, but I would say consent because they get to choose when they want to go out. They don't have to wait for you to help with that. Of course, there's always a downside of doggy doors about like critters coming in and things like that, or dogs recreationally barking in your yard.
Yes. We actually have tarantulas in El Paso, and the first time we found a tarantula was on the doggy door of our patio. We don't have it open to the house. The previous owners installed it, but that thing was about to go into my patio through the doggy door. And I was this is what people say about not having doggy doors. The tarantula was yay big.
And I don't mind spiders at all, but if you told me that story with the snake, I'm out of here. Gone.
Exactly. Or any scary animal, really. All right. Putting my dogs in a room when guests come by to keep them from interacting with strangers or interacting with like young children. Is that consent?
I would say not. That's not consent, but that's not what we look for when we talk about consent in relation to dogs. And so that is more, if we have a dog who jumps on kids, that's a management issue where we're trying to make sure that the dog and the child is safe. kids have to come first. I'm a mom too, and we have to make sure kids are safe. I always tell clients that just because your dog is friendly and they're friendly, that doesn't mean your guests like dogs or even are comfortable around dogs. And so, but putting your dog away and having them scream for 2 hours while your guests are there, that's not okay either. It has to be a trained behavior.
Got it. So the consent would be that they would go willingly after they've been trained to be comfortable in that specific room? Yep.
So like when I go to leave the house, I go to the dog cabinet, and my dogs know that when I go to the dog cabinet, it means go into actually my office here, and they will get treats for coming in the office, and this is where they stay when I am not in the house.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
Putting a harness on my dog to go for a walk.
That can be a very slippery slope of consent.
That's what I was thinking.
And so I've been doing a lot of thinking and I don't teach puppy classes anymore. But I really think that a lot of our body handling and consent issues actually start when dogs are young, and that very first interaction that people really inappropriately put on harnesses to dogs. And the reason why I had a friend over my son had a friend over who's a longtime family friend, but not a dog owner. And she was helping my son put on a harness. And I was just watching this person who didn't know anything, which would be most first-time dog owners.
Right.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this is why every dog hates getting their harnesses on. And, you imagine you're dealing with a wiggly puppy and you're trying to snap it, and then you clip their hair in it and, all that stuff. So yes, I work a lot with teaching dogs to have consent with getting their harnesses on. And it easily goes down the wrong direction because it's what I call a gotta. Like at some point, like I don't want to walk my dog like my puppy who might slip their collar or be choking themselves pulling on a flat buckle collar. I feel like I've gotta get that harness on, and so that gets a little tricky too.
So from what I'm understanding is maybe training on loose leash walking would be an alternative to forcing the harness situation.
Yes, and also training the harness. And a lot of times what we'll do is actually train, if the dog has what I call corrupt cue to the heart, like they see the harness and they're like, we will train a whole new harness and start it from the get-go.
Oh, nice. Like a different style of harness.
Yes. Yep. Different material, something like that.
So that they don't associate it with the one that they had trauma with. Okay, perfect. Yes. Okay, so this one's a tough one because I think there's a when it comes to consent, I think older generations specifically have like a hard time with it. They're like, oh, the kid's not going to consent to this, and the kid doesn't want their diaper changed. So does that mean you don't change their diaper? You just leave them in their dirty diaper, right? You've heard that, right? I'm sure you've heard this in terms of like dogs as well. So this one is inspired by those people. Taking my dog to the vet for a checkup, even when I know he doesn't want to go. Is that consent?
It is not, but that is where this all comes down to. And that falls into the category of, is it I'll use the term gotta. Is it a gotta or a want? And so I know that you're Fear-Free certified also, as am I. And there are times when, my young dog just recently cracked a molar and she had to have her tooth removed. Like she had to. Like Ouch. It was not going to go well. But that's a gotta versus, I would like my dog's nails trimmed today. Even though you may think that's a gotta, it is never. Nail trimmings are never a gotta. It can always wait until you have consent.
That is perfect. Yes. And if you have a dog that hates nail trims and trips to the vets and stuff, like you said, Fear-Free Professionals, so fearfreepets.com is where you should find your vets, your dog trainers, your pet sitters, your groomers, everybody. Because
I drive 30 minutes to my Fear-Free clinic, past a lot of other clinics to go to mine. So yes, it makes all the difference. I mean, it makes the treatments go better. They are more receptive to it. It's all better. So I love that so much.